Once again, you're watching Policy and Prejudice. My name is Chris Stevenson. I have a very special guest with me today. She is a campaign manager, or I should say former campaign manager, for Mr. Eddie Egriu, and she's an all-around activist in Buffalo, one of our great community organizers. Her name is Katrinna Martin. I just thought I'd have her here today to update us on the situation regarding the what was the election or the campaign between Brian Higgins, the congressman, and Eddie Egriu for Congress.
Yes.
And how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. You know, you said, because I think that the last time we really knew anything, at least I did anyway, I can't speak for anybody else, but Eddie never really got off the ground as far as challenging those the objections over the ballots.
Yes, yes.
And is he a write-in campaign or now as the last decision, or what's the status?
Well, you know, currently we are off the ballot for the primary.
Okay.
You know, I'm not sure exactly what his aspirations are as far as continuing to challenge for the independent line so he can run the general election.
Mm-hmm.
Which challenging for that independent line for the general would have him needing 3 times the signatures that he needed to, you know, to make it to that ballot for the primary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I maintain that we collected a sufficient amount of signatures to make it for the primary ballot, and it just didn't go that way. We lost in court, so. You know, at this time, I'm not sure exactly what his intentions are in relation to challenging for that independent line.
Now, those petitions, how many signatures did he raise originally?
Well, originally, almost 3,000 signatures.
Okay.
Which is almost 3 times what we needed. We need 1,250 signatures to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
And the issues with our signatures is that I thought it was important for for us to petition in high impacted areas in an attempt to give, you know, the people a voice. We petitioned in 25 and 30 degree weather. Mm-hmm. At times it was difficult for, you know, people to write. Right. But they wrote their name, and by profession I'm a registered nurse, so it's easier for me to read handwritings.
Okay.
So where signatures were disqualified because they couldn't read the handwritings, as I would like to call it, I rescued the signatures. I could read the handwriting, find the address, and find the person registered at that
You're
address.
that good?
Well, you know, have you ever read doctor's handwriting on many different medical records, and you have to know who signed what?
Well, I'll tell you what, because people tell me this all the time.
Okay.
All right? And if you didn't know me, could you make this out?
Where's your signature?
This is new. It may not be on there. Okay. I didn't put it on there. I just got this.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that is
well,
the new.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. What about this? Okay. Can you make that out?
I would say that it was a C and an R, and the last letter is an S. So what I would have done is I would have put a C and an R into the name box of the first name in the database, in the voting registration database, and I would have put an S in that box of the voter registration database. From there, I would have caught your address, and even if I could catch like maybe 2 or 3 letters of the address or the number, I'm gonna find you.
Okay, all right. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah. So, how many of those 3,500 or 3,000 signatures were disputed?
Well, initially they disputed probably about 2,300. The board, which left us with 600 some odd signatures, the board did give us many of those signatures back, which still had us under what we needed. So I then went through every single signature, went back to the Board of Elections, and I recovered probably about like an additional 300 signatures, which gave us enough signatures.
Okay.
We also went to Albany, where we had to meet with the board in Albany. And as we were recovering the signatures in Albany, we had got through 51 sheets, and we had 99 sheets left to go. Out of 99 sheets left to go, I only needed to recover 29 more signatures. So about 2 hours in the session is we were abruptly cut off and was told that we could not go line by line anymore and recover our signatures because I was recovering the signatures too fast.
What do you mean by too fast?
Too fast is that if I had already recovered enough signatures with only going through 51 sheets to only leave us having to recover another 29 signatures for the board to count them and see them in our favor. Statistically, I only needed to recover one signature every third sheet because I have 99 sheets left and I only need 29 signatures. If they would have allowed us to continue, then Albany would have had to put us back on the ballot that day. But we were cut off. So our time, our session, our appointment was for 1 o'clock. We didn't get started till roughly 1:30. Prior to us starting, I asked, how long do we have? I was told that by the examiners that we stay here until we're done.
Okay.
So at about 3:45, an examiner that went out of the room to recover more signatures that I found, because we have to give them the registration number for each person that we recovered a signature for. The computer should have been in the room with us so we can do a quick recovery. It wasn't. So every time we give them a couple of registration numbers, they would have to leave out the room, come back and get them. And at the rate that we were going they were honoring more signatures that I was finding than the other side was saying they were saying it wasn't good. So, like I said, around 3:45, the examiner entered the room and he said that the commissioners had came out of a meeting and that he was instructed by the commissioners to cut us off and not let us continue to go line by line to retrieve our signatures. At that point, it was over. Now, while this gentleman was out of the room, the attorney and Brian Higgins' assistant, Chuck Eaton, they began to take out their phone and do some rapid texting and back and forth. And then when they came back in the room and cut us off, I knew what time it was. Somebody probably made that call.
The fix was in.
Yeah, the fix was in. I said, oh, man. So that left us with 29 signatures. So
Well, that's something similar happened like that to Betty Jean Grant.
Yes.
Something along those lines.
Yes, and we had the same judge once we were here in court, in State Supreme Court in Buffalo. Yeah, Judge Glonia, yep.
Glonia, whatever,
Yes.
I'm mispronouncing his name, but
Yes.
yeah, he's kind of like a plant.
Yes, same judge.
Okay, and that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's really, really bad.
So the only signatures that he let us recover in the courtroom were if the signature matched the registration signature exactly. Even though you can tell it's the same signature, same mark, you would have to remember, in order to had been someone that signed our petition, you would have had to remember how you signed your voter registration card. Some people hadn't signed it in 20 years.
Right.
It's a difference writing something when you're 65 and 85.
Yeah.
And that moves to disenfranchise,
Sure.
people for disabilities, extremities of age. Some people I had to tell them how to spell their street. But it doesn't mean that they don't have a right to participate in the election process. Those are the people that we should really be holding up and try to make sure that their voice counts.
You're right. That's very true. Very unfortunate. I've known Eddie to run for campaigns, various campaigns. I first met him, he was running for Maston District Councilman, I thought, years ago. And I can't remember, I met him in this very same room, believe it or not. And I was being interviewed by the late Muhammad Farrakhan. I don't know if you remember him. And he had a show called Fix the City. Yes. And Eddie, and I can't remember whether Muhammad had me interview him or he interviewed himself. But that was the first time I've met him face to face. But, he seems to have good intentions and everything. He seems to be very community conscious. But people have to learn about these tricks. And I think there's probably no way you can beat these tricks unless you have connections, maybe. Otherwise, unless you're very shrewd and very persistent. Because I've seen people repeatedly trying to break through, and they lose election after election. Right. And it's not a coincidence. You're running, when you run against some of these candidates, especially the incumbents, you're running against the machine. You're not running
Exactly.
against the person. You're running against a well-oiled machine.
There we go.
And the people behind them.
There we go.
And oftentimes I talk to people who are running against them. They're like, well, you know, Jesus will help me win. Allah will help me win. And no, Allah's going against your opponent. He's voting for your opponent. You better get your stuff together. Okay?
Right.
They don't think that way.
Yeah.
You know, they think as long as I read about the holy books, it's going to, no. You got to do, at least to some extent, what they're doing. Yeah. And that means getting a little dirty.
That's right.
It's one thing to get your hands dirty. Getting your hands dirty means you're knocking on doors and pounding the pavement.
Yeah.
Getting dirty is you got to be a little bit conniving.
That's right.
Okay.
I hate to say, but it is.
We don't like to say that. We don't like to hear that. But that's what you got to do.
You're
You
right.
know, you're going against, if you're boxing an opponent who's picking up dirt and tossing it in your face.
You better learn how to
It
pick up some
doesn't
dirt.
matter whether or not you're a Golden Gloves boxer anymore.
That's right. That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
so
That's right.
you have to do the same thing to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So you know it's one of those things. So, do you intend to continue being a campaign manager or what are your goals?
Would I ever pick this ball up and run with it again? Yes, I would. I would definitely, think about pursuing more campaigns. It's something that I would do if someone were to ask me,
Mhm.
and it's under the right circumstances situation, then, I would say yes. This was my first time being a campaign manager.
Right.
By no means is it, my first time with management experience.
Okay.
I just feel like within the Egriu campaign, I feel like I came in too late.
Sure.
And I never had the level of control that I needed to have to make
Sure.
the campaign run as effective as it could have.
Right.
So, you live and you learn, and there are a few things that I would do different now, but not many.
I hear you. What would you do? Because I've never been directly involved in politics. Okay, just covered it, whatever. And my question is, do you make the candidate or do you pre-qualify the candidate? You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Is there a certain type of candidate that you picture yourself working for, or do you say I can change this person and make this person into my candidate and put them out there in the front in the arena?
Well, I think there's some making that we can do. We can always improve. You can take the best and the most well-qualified candidate, and there's things that you can improve.
Okay.
There is a level of savviness and a level, of finesse that a candidate has to come with on their own, and there's nothing that you can do to teach someone that.
Right.
That's something that they'll already have. Are there wonderful people in this world that want to do something wonderful for their community? Yes. Can all of them be elected officials? No.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we can do some making, but gotta kind of be made yourself. Already we can improve.
Right.
But to really be a candidate takes a person with a to me it's somebody that has a lot of courage.
Right.
Somebody that at the same time is assertive, but at the same time warm, connects with people, and I'm not going to say that Mr. Egriu doesn't have all of those qualities.
Right.
Things happen.
Sure.
And maybe next time if he has any aspirations that he can get farther in this process so people can see what he's all about and what he has to offer to the people.
All right. Now, on to the subject of Juneteenth.
Oh, yes.
Okay? Because I know, I saw you had a quote on Facebook regarding the downtown stadium, and you says that you better fight like they're stealing your job because they are.
Yes.
Save your team. And you have, you plan to have an Outer Harbor Stadium rally at the second, stage area?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of the Juneteenth.
Could you explain that?
Okay. David Allen actually has has the space, and he has offered to, lend the space for us to actually do a rally. And my vested interest for the rally itself is to, bring awareness to the fact that there is a proposed action to create and bring jobs into Buffalo that I think that we can do ourselves. Second vested interest is, I want to see my community prosper. There has to be something for people to look forward to. The hopelessness and powerlessness has to stop.
Yeah.
And people need to be aware of actually what's happening, what's going on, and how they're being left out of the prosperity, and that there's somebody that's saying, okay, I hear you, and this is something that I can and I'm willing to do about it.
Right.
So I think we just need to get more involved, more behind this initiative, and understand what this really means, for our people.
Well, yeah, I think it could make a great difference. Mr. Freeman, Pat Freeman, has been doing a very good job getting it out there.
Yes.
And I recently interviewed George Hasiotis on my Blog Talk radio show.
Okay, great.
And that's the first time I interviewed him since we were here. We was at the old Waffle Studio. Okay. And this sounds like a good plan, and I think most people in Buffalo just can't get with it for some reason because it's airtight. They're right up front with it. And it's all about that land option.
Yes.
That's all we need.
Yes.
Okay? You don't need anything else.
Don't need anything
And here's
else.
the guys with the money to do it.
Yep.
And they don't want it to be done. You got Poland cars and these guys, they don't want to do this. Okay? There's a problem. That's a problem that goes back to leaders in Buffalo all the way back since I was a kid. Okay? And as I was growing up, they slowly began to dismantle Buffalo and jobs and white flight. All that was taking place at the same time. Mm-hmm. Structural decline,
yes.
The rise of the prison industry, the jail industry, and that's all that it seems to be. That's all they want.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
About half of our jobs are government jobs, from the state to the county to the city.
Sure.
So not enough private sector jobs.
No.
In the area.
It isn't.
And that's the truth.
You create the conditions to run private sector jobs away, and then you say, well, there's no jobs.
Yes.
So it is the same people doing it.
Yeah. And then you need more government jobs.
Yeah.
To counteract the social nightmare.
Right.
That's created.
Exactly.
So one has asked herself, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
What is the reluctance behind developing a piece of land that historically nobody has been thinking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
So to me, when that happens, you got another plan.
Yeah.
And I wish they would level with the people and just say what it is.
Well, you're dealing with a group of miserly, stubborn, and stingy people. Okay, and I say that it's just like somebody if you live next door to somebody who had a nice cherry tree, but they never picked the cherries themselves. That they just fall off to the ground every year, right. And you ask them, "Hey, can we pick some of these?" No.
Yep. Just don't want you to have it.
They just don't want you to have it, but they're not picking it themselves.
Exactly.
That's Buffalo. That's Buffalo leadership.
Yeah, and that has to stop, and it will stop.
So that's the thing, but I enjoyed having you on today.
Oh, I enjoyed being here.
I wanted to, like I said, to get with you and ask you about these issues, and I wish you the best.
Well, thank you.
In your efforts, and I don't know who you're going to campaign for. I don't plan to run for any office, so otherwise I'd hire you myself. But
I'm just campaigning for the community right now.
Yeah, well that's the best thing. That's the best thing.
Yeah.
But thank you all for watching Policy and Prejudice. My name is Chris Stevenson. I'd like to thank our guests once again, Katrinna Martin. You all have a safe week.
Thank you.
No.